Hello Furkies, this is day 21 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. Finally we have a game and we have the black pieces against a mid 1800 rated opponent, which is not super great, but e4 on the board, Caro-Kann my favorite defense to the pawn to e4. And yes, I was saying that I have enough time now, and now d4, this is the exchange Caro, bishop d3 the best move, or c3 this is playable as well, bishop d3, okay now bishop g4 or g6, maybe g6 setup, but I like to just develop and pinning this knight to the queen, queen b3 an option right now, definitely, queen b3 makes a lot of sense, retransposing to the main variation, but without the bishop being on f4, but queen a4 played instead. Queen a4, I guess the idea is bishop b5 and knight to d5. So how to prevent this idea? Well, maybe just bishop d6, so that if here I can take, and then go here and the pawn cannot be sufficiently defended, with an idea of here. Maybe bishop d6 and then simply castling afterwards. Bishop d6, bishop here. Why not? Yes, bishop d6. I mean, you cannot really move your bishop twice in the opening just to get maybe a pawn if, because I will castle. h3, yes, I guess this is okay to push my bishop back, but just bishop h5, nothing wrong with this move. And we need to win this game. This is most definitely what will need to happen, because if not, I will lose 12 rating points. And this is the bad part with playing against lower rated opponents. So even draw is okay, but I will lose 4 rating points in this scenario. So now queen b3 played back, which looks like a mistake. Why? Because I mean, moving your queen twice in the opening, not very good. And now even a6, trying to trap the queen actually. This is queen trapped actually, so just a6. If takes, knight a5 wins the queen. There is, you cannot go back because of the knight, you can't go here because of the bishop, you cannot take the pawn, you can't go to c6 because of the knight, and that's just it. And maybe b5 to follow, and trying to put my knight on c4, which is probably the perfect plan in the Caro-Kann. Okay, rook e1, but you cannot really develop this bishop to this diagonal, so this is the big problem with white's position here. So just b5, continuing with my plan of maneuvering my knight to c4 square, and then just gaining a lot of piece activity down the c file. So yes, probably g4 and knight e5 needs to be played at some point. And yes, now his idea is to put the knight in the center of the board, but a3 played. Wow, this looks like a mistake. Why would you play a3? Just here, queen c2, I guess. Maybe queen c7 now, the best move, stopping any knight e5. Firstly, queen c7 looks super great move actually. Just stopping any idea of knight to e5, which is probably the only source of counterplay for my opponent, if I'm completely honest. Yes, g4 can be played, but I mean this bishop, yes, well, now probably I wanna play bishop g6, probably, because I wanna trade off these pieces. And yes, white counterplay is on this diagonal, and if I can trade bishops with my opponent, I should be completely fine. And of course there is no knight to e5, which is the only good plan for my opponent. I mean, this is just hard to play now. My knight is getting to c4. I will expand on the queen side as much as I can. And then simply... Yes, but now you're moving your queen just too many times. I guess the idea is to... maybe to play a4. Then something happens here, but a4 can't be a good plan. Or maybe just bring queen here and then play knight e5 is an idea. Well, yes, but simply knight d7 when I take. No, just knight to a5. If a4, knight c4 takes. If rooks come off the board, I am very happy. And now you cannot even move the knight because this is just too powerful actually. Or maybe it's not, but... yes, my knight wants to go here. b3, rook c8, I mean your pawn is very loose here. This pawn is about to drop as well if b3 will be played. So yes, you cannot do that. b3, I mean, it doesn't loses the game on the spot, but it does strategically and positionally. b3 loses the game on the spot because of this open c-file for my pieces to attack the c3 pawn. And yes, usually white's idea is to push c4, but now you can't. Knight e5. What about takes, and knight d7? You are going to play f4. I mean, you probably have to take back with the pawn, right? If rook takes, then I go here. I mean, I can definitely go here right away. And if f4 happens, then I can trade and put my knight on e4. So yes, this is what I'm going to choose. Knight to c4, very logical move. Yes, if either of the knights takes my knight here, I will take with the b pawn and will have this permanent weakness on b2. And I think my position is very nice here. Knight to f3 played actually. Wow, knight to f3, something that I missed. But still, rook c8, knight e4. Knight e4, beautiful idea. But it doesn't attack anything. I guess f6 is kinda threatened, but then the pawn hangs here. So no, just rook c8 and pushing my queen side pawns. I mean, if takes, queen c2, knight e4, knight e5, excuse me, I can even take knight d7, f4, queen b7, rook b8 and attack this b2 pawn, yes. Although maybe bishop g5, but then still knight d7, knight b6 and maybe going here. And the pawn hangs here as well, so rook c8, the ultimate choice of me. And yes, bishop g5 trying to develop, but then even knight to e4 comes with a tempo on the bishop and... okay, this is bad move, simply because I guess he's trying to play b3, but if you're trying to play b3, then the a3 pawn actually hangs, but b4... well, now I am trying to play a4 indeed. This is a typical minority attack here. I mean, b3 takes... I guess the knight is loose here. I guess this is it, but if for b3 I can even go back. But then my pawn hangs here. No, but then... I mean, maybe a5 is just too much, right? a5, b3... I mean, b3 is not a move that you wanna play if you're white here, excuse me. I mean, going here to control b3 is wild. Somewhat. Oh, his idea is to push b4 and lock down the position, but then c3 is just weak. No, just knight b6. Just knight b6. Just back, and then something like knight d7. Right. Yeah. Yes. Knight b6 now. Because definitely he was threatening to play b4 and then taking here, and then his position is fine. Although I can take with the queen there, maybe knight b6 is a waste of time, but definitely bishop takes on e5 followed by knight d7 trading the knights, then queen c4 trading the queens, and I would love the endgame with the pressure down the c file. Then knight a4 is a big threat, or even pushing maybe b4, maybe a4. Everything is bad for black, for white, excuse me. And yes, exchange Caro-Kann is a very, I mean, it's not a bad opening choice if you're white, but still, you should be playing somewhat more aggressive with the white pieces against the Caro. No, this is not good. Most definitely, this is a very bad move. What is this? I can now just take on e5, right? No, this is bad. Bishop takes knight. This is the only move in the position, definitely. If rook takes, yeah, I go back, but if pawn takes, then you are just losing. Most definitely, this is the case. My knight's, yes, knight d7. My knight's going everywhere. No, this is bad. You need to defend the pawn now. You don't need to defend the pawn, actually. Yes, you need, because this doesn't work. I take here, and then take here. But yes, this is bad. Knight f3, I guess the best try. But then I go here. I mean, this is positionally just losing now. I guess queen f3. I guess queen f3 is an idea here, but even then something like, not takes because rook takes, but I mean, even rook takes. What? Why shouldn't I play this position? I mean, why not? Rook f8. I mean, after queen f3, but queen f3 is not the preferred option of white. Queen c4. Queen c4 followed by knight c4. Queen c4, knight c4, the pawn is under attack. Everything is loose. Definitely this is an idea. Queen c4 followed by a queen trade. I don't see how queens don't get off the board. For black. For white, excuse me. I'm not seeing a way to avoid the queen trade. Yes, queen d1 only move because queen d2 blocks in the bishop, which is bad. And I get my knight here on d3. Or maybe even... Yes, you are taking the queen. That's very interesting, actually. Should I take with the knight or with the pawn? Oh my goodness, taking with the pawn. But then b3 takes b3. I mean, this is positionally lost. Takes rook c4. Yes, just taking with the pawn because I'm threatening knight a4. Wow, if I can get my other pawn to a4, completely game over. Completely. Why I put something on? Yes, this is bad. Yes, I guess you wanna go here, but it's kinda too late, right? Although, I mean, this is an idea, right? Should I start with knight to c5? But you have nothing if I don't push my pawn, excuse me. And yeah, just simply going here. Bishop, hold on. Here, bishop e3 though. Rook b8 then simply. And yes, if I can get position without these two pieces, I'm very happy. My knight can go everywhere. And this, yes, rook b8 now. And simply going here. This is my idea. Forcing something. Or maybe going to... I'm not sure. But this knight can also go here and back in here. And yes, I mean this position much better, controlling b3. Pushing a4, but then suddenly things... Although knight d7, then there is no... Yes, knight d7 my next move. Knight b to d7, which should be played instead of rook to b8 actually. Knight d7 and a5, a4. Going here, 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 winning. I mean, that's my plan. That's my plan. Knights are defended by each other. And yes, this pawn on b2, simply very bad piece. This is bad move. What are you trying to do? I play a5 and a4. I mean, my opponent has absolutely no plan in the position whatsoever. I play a4. And my position is playing by itself. I mean, this is just positionally lost, as I said many times now. Knight b3 maybe. I mean, maybe I'm... Maybe just... Oh, yes. This is an idea. Okay. I get it. Knight d7 was a mistake. You know why? Because I can play knight a4 actually. And that's my plan now. Or just knight a4 like this. And how are you defending? A b3? No, I simply take. And yes, now the knight can't go here because of my pawn. Knight a4 and rook b3 and rook b8. Since there is no light square bishop, so my knights are not hanging here. Rook b3 now. I will put everything on a light square. Why? Because this bishop is dark squared, so that's a good part for me. And yes, this pawn is weak here, but this pawn is like there is no way to defend this pawn. Rook c3, rook c2, excuse me. Here, trying to get here, but I simply take. So there is absolutely no way to... Yes, my opponent resigned. This is completely lost. As you can see, minus 0.2, and the material is the same. And he simply resigned. And this is how like 2000 rated players can defeat 1800 rated players. Of course they won't blunder anything big, but they will get outplayed in positional parts of the game. So let's analyze the game now. Pawn to e4, the Caro-Kann defense now, and he took. And usually we get the exchange Caro-Kann after d4, d5, and now takes. And now c4 is an option here, but this is not the exchange. The exchange is bishop d3, c3, and the main line needs to play bishop f4 actually. And then we get this kind of position like this actually. But we got it from the move knight to f3, and after d5 takes, now d4, and this is also the exchange variation. And now, if I'm not mistaken, c3 has knight here, and bishop goes to d3 usually. Bishop g4 trying to develop, and now you can see the problem with the move knight to d2 actually. The problem with the move knight to d2 is that it blocks the bishop. Probably bishop f4 the best move, and after something like e6, knight d2, bishop e7, and queen b3. This is just the main line. This is just the main line. Like, you can play either, well, queen c7, queen c8 is the only move in the position actually that holds the theory. Because if you play queen d7, you usually play bishop d6, and then you cannot really take because I get too much of an advantage down the b file. So this should... Oh, knight e5 now. Knight e5? Yes, queen d7 loses because of knight to e5. So queen c8 was the best move. But yes, after bishop g4, knight b to d2, simply blocking in the bishop. Well, this is just now equal for black. I have my own plans, e6, bishop e7 and castling, and doing this as I did. So, e6, queen a5, queen a4, excuse me. I don't understand this move whatsoever. I mean, I do bishop b5, knight e5, it all looks great, winning everything. But I mean, just bishop d6. There is no knight e5, I take and go to d7. Everything now, wait, what? Oh, the bishop is hanging here, okay. Oh, what? But I can simply castle here. Yes, I probably would have found this move, and after takes. I have the open b file, and this should be okay for me. So after h3 here, not playing any ridiculous lines. Now bishop h5. I don't want to take the knight actually. I really don't. I wanna go here and trade off these bishops. Because if I take, then I mean, I am slightly punished because of this. White, I mean, if I play something like rook c8, g4 happens. What after g4? I know, yes, knight b4, but if here something like rook b8, well then g4, g5. I guess h6, but you get the point. White has an active ideas down this diagonal. So I want to play bishop h5 and trade off these bishops, then I will be simply okay. And after castles, black is much better actually. Black is much better, and after queen v3 I thought I was just winning. a6, of course you cannot take. Why not be? Well, because I can play knight to a5. You have to take the rook. Well, this is just the reality. So after a6, rook e1, b5. I mean, a4 is the only move, yes. Knight e5 maybe. But a4 usually is the correct option to fight against this, but then I simply can go here. I mean, takes. I like this position actually. Let me show you a4 here, and queen c2. I can go here, why not? It's not the best, but I like these positions. If after takes, let's say takes, and maybe knight e5. I mean, I will take like this, rook b8, opening up the b file should be beneficial to me. And after b5, a3 happened, which is just very bad move. Queen c7, preventing knight to e5 because it simply loses a pawn here in the middle of the board. So knight e5 can be played. Queen c2, bishop g6 trading off, and this is simply outplaying my opponent no matter what. Here maybe knight g5 was actually the best move. What? But after knight g5 I can simply take, d takes, and knight d7. h4, what happens then? I mean, I can simply take. No, I don't agree with the evaluation. I mean, h4, h5. Why is this so good? I don't believe the engine here. I mean, it is better for white if engine says so, but from a practical standpoint, excuse me, this should be better for black. I get it. I didn't see that actually. So it makes sense, h5 trying to open up my king and attack these pawns here. But I mean, this is hard to find from here, from the move knight to g5 here. I simply take, excuse me. Wait, yes. Here, I mean, bishop f4 even the best move, what? And here, yes, taking was a mistake. Taking loses the game, but still I'm going for this, I'm going for this. I have all the fun on the queen side, and you need to prove that you have something going on the king side, otherwise you will simply be lost, as you can see. Now, yes, taking with the pawn was very, very important here. Not with d pawn, because this is bad. I mean, you get the d3 square, but here, blocking this pawn. And now, This is just perfect here. Where was the mistake? Here, bishop takes on c5 was best. Oh, I get it, but... And b4, okay. But... I mean, yes, it's kinda hard to move for me, but this pawn is very weak here. I mean, just maybe a4 in the future. But okay. Now this is just lost. And here my opponent resigned why I have this, winning this pawn, and when this pawn collapses, everything will fall apart eventually. So ladies and gentlemen, I won the 21st game on my way to achieving the rapid rating of 2500, and if you like the video, please consider subscribing, it would really help me out, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!